The world of ants is a relentless, militarized meat grinder where you are born as a tiny, disposable worker forced to sacrifice your entire life for a colony that does not care if you live or die. In this video, you will endure the brutal life of 4 fascinating insects, starting with number 1, the honeypot ant. You hatch from an egg as a larva somewhere in the deserts of Arizona. Your body is soft and pale and you can't see anything around you. But within seconds, workers surround you, tapping their antennae across your skin as they check you over. Then one grabs you with her mandibles and lifts you off the ground, carrying you through a narrow tunnel that curves downward into complete darkness. She drops you into a chamber where other larvae are already waiting, squirming in a pile. You land on top of 2 of them, and they push back hard, forcing you to roll off to the side. A worker moves toward you and lowers her head, releasing a drop of clear liquid directly onto your mouth. Around you, workers move between the larvae constantly, feeding some and inspecting others. One larva nearby isn't moving much anymore. A worker examines it closely with her antennae, then picks it up and carries it away into a different tunnel. More workers arrive with food and you eat again. Your body starts to swell as the days pass, growing thicker and longer until your skin becomes too tight to stretch any further. The outer layer finally splits down your back and you crawl out of it, leaving the old casing crumpled behind you. Skip forward 3 weeks and your body has sealed itself inside a cocoon you spun from silk produced in your own gut. When you finally tear through the cocoon wall, you're not a larva anymore. You have 6 legs, 2 antennae, and a body divided into 3 distinct parts. A worker approaches and touches your antennae with hers, passing chemical signals you somehow understand. Then she turns and walks toward a tunnel, so you follow her into the colony. You're 3 weeks old now, and your first job is cleaning. You walk through the lower tunnels with your mandibles gripping sand grains one at a time, moving them from collapsed sections to disposal chambers near the surface. Other young workers pass you constantly. One passage leads you to a chamber where waste has piled up against the walls. Dead ants, dried food fragments, and shed cocoon casings cover the floor in a thick layer. The colony needs this cleared, so you grab a piece of something unidentifiable and start dragging it toward the exit tunnel. Another worker pushes past you, hauling a dead ant twice her size toward the same exit. You make several trips back and forth until the pile shrinks to almost nothing. Then a larger worker enters and sweeps her antennae across the walls, checking your work. She touches your antennae briefly with hers, passing some kind of approval signal, then leaves without looking back. Your next assignment takes you to the brood chamber, where larvae squirm in organized rows while workers tend to them constantly. You need to feed them, so you move toward the nearest one, and it lifts its head with its mouth already open. You squeeze your crop and push a small drop of stored liquid up through your throat. It swallows immediately and drops its head back down. Then something disturbs the ground above. Vibrations pulse through the ceiling. Workers freeze in place with their antennae raised, trying to sense which direction the threat is coming from. The shaking stops after a few seconds. Everyone starts moving again, but faster now, grabbing larvae and carrying them toward deeper chambers where the ceiling is thicker. More workers are already arriving to help when you get there. Soon you'll be assigned a permanent role, and once that happens, your job won't change again. You're 1 month old now. A large worker moves toward you in the main chamber and touches your antennae with hers, holding contact longer than she normally would. Then she releases you and starts walking toward a tunnel that slopes downward into the deepest part of the nest, so you follow her. The passage narrows as you go deeper, then it opens into a massive chamber with a domed ceiling that stretches high above you. Dozens of ants hang upside down from the surface with their abdomens swollen to the size of grapes. These are repletes, living storage units for the colony's food reserves. The worker leads you to an empty spot on the ceiling and climbs up beside another replete, then touches your antennae again. You understand what she wants. This is your new role. So you climb onto the ceiling and lock your claws into the rough surface. Then another worker comes up from below and touches your mouth with hers, releasing liquid directly into it. You swallow and your crop starts to expand inside your abdomen. She feeds you again, then again, pushing more liquid in each time. Your abdomen stretches outward as the fluid fills every available space inside you. You're twice your original size now, then 3 times. You hang there with your legs straining to hold the new weight. Around you, other repletes are in different stages of fullness. Some are massive with abdomens bulging like water balloons ready to burst. One nearby is smaller and probably just started like you. You're a replete now. You won't leave this chamber again, and your abdomen will only get bigger from here. Skip forward a bit, and you're 3 months old now. Your abdomen has swollen to the size of a small berry. Workers come regularly to feed you more, and every time they do, you accept it and grow larger with each deposit. But today, something different happens. A worker climbs up to you and touches your antennae with hers, then taps your mouth repeatedly instead of feeding you. The colony needs food back, so you contract the muscles around your crop and push a small amount of liquid up through your throat. She drinks it quickly and leaves. Then another worker arrives a minute later and requests the same thing. A line forms below you as more workers climb up to withdraw food from the repletes hanging around you. Days pass, and workers stop coming to deposit food. They only arrive to take from you now, draining your reserves little by little. Your abdomen shrinks slowly as you give away what you've been storing. Around you, the other repletes are getting smaller too. The massive one hanging nearby is visibly reduced in size now. The workers are emptying the reserves because something is wrong in the world above. There isn't enough food coming into the colony anymore. Then one day, a worker climbs up and feeds you again instead of taking from you. Your abdomen expands slightly as the liquid flows back in. The shortage is over, at least for now. You're 7 months old now, and your abdomen is the largest it's ever been. Your legs ache from holding the weight constantly. But you stay locked in place because there's nothing else you can do. You're too heavy to walk anymore, and your body is stuck here permanently. Then a thin crack appears in the ceiling above you. Sand starts trickling down through the split, falling past your face and hitting the floor below. You can feel vibrations through the surface, something massive moving on the ground above and pressing down on the nest. The crack widens, and more sand pours through. Then chunks of dried earth break free and drop past you. More cracks spread outward like branches. Workers scatter in every direction, running toward the exit tunnels as fast as they can move. Some try to climb up to help, but there's nothing they can do for you because you're anchored in place by your own weight. A large section of ceiling collapses completely. 2 repletes fall with it, their swollen bodies hitting the floor hard and rupturing on impact. Golden liquid sprays across the ground in every direction. Workers swarm the spill immediately, drinking desperately to save what they can before it soaks into the dirt and becomes useless. The chamber shakes again, and you brace harder with all 6 legs, digging your claws deeper into the surface above you. Another replete beside you loses her grip and drops, landing on her back with her legs kicking uselessly in the air. Her abdomen stays intact, but she can't flip herself over because she's too heavy. Workers surround her and try to help, but they can't lift her weight. The shaking finally stops. Dust hangs in the air, and everything goes quiet except for the workers below drinking from the spilled liquid. Next time something shakes the nest, you might fall too. Skip forward and you're 10 months old now. The chamber has been quiet for days with only a few workers coming to deposit or withdraw food. Then a chemical signal floods through the air, spreading so fast every ant in the chamber reacts at once. It's danger. Invaders are coming. Workers pour into the chamber from the upper tunnels, moving in frantic patterns as they prepare to defend. Some climb toward you and the other repletes, forming defensive positions on the ceiling and walls around you. Army ants flood through the entrance tunnel in a solid wave, their bodies smaller and darker than your nestmates. They don't slow down or hesitate, they just swarm across the floor and start climbing immediately. Your workers meet them at the walls and fighting breaks out everywhere. One army ant breaks through the defensive line and climbs directly toward you. A worker intercepts it halfway, grabbing its head with her mandibles and pulling it away from the ceiling. They fall together and hit the ground hard. Then neither of them moves again. One moves toward a replete 3 spots away from you and bites into her abdomen, puncturing the membrane. Liquid sprays out as she deflates, spilling her entire reserve onto the floor below. Then the army ants suddenly retreat, pulling back through the entrance tunnel and carrying whatever food and larvae they manage to grab with them. Your workers don't chase them. They regroup around the chamber instead, checking for more threats with their antennae raised. You're 1 year old now and the colony is starving. Workers arrive constantly, tapping your antennae and requesting food from you. The colony needs everything you have, so you give them what you can, pushing small amounts of liquid up through your throat and into their mouths. You feed 10 workers, then 15, then more than you can count as they keep coming back. Days pass, and the requests don't stop. The pressure inside you releases as your segments pull closer together, and you get smaller and smaller with each withdrawal. You're half the size you were a month ago now. Around you, the other repletes are shrinking too. The reserves are running out because there's nothing growing above ground anymore. Then a worker climbs up to you, but she doesn't request food. Instead, she grabs one of your legs and pulls hard, trying to rip you free from the ceiling. You fall and hit the ground, landing on your side. The impact doesn't hurt, but everything feels wrong because you haven't moved from that spot in over 10 months. Your legs are weak and shaky, but they still work, so you start walking. They lead you through passages you haven't seen since you were young. The tunnel opens into a staging area where other ants are preparing to leave the nest. You join them and wait. You're not a replete anymore. The colony drained you because they need workers who can move, and now you're going above ground where almost nothing is left to find. Skip forward a bit, and you're 1 year and 1 month old now. You've been foraging for 3 weeks and found almost nothing worth bringing back. The desert surface is mostly dirt and dried plant stems with very little food anywhere. Today you walk farther than usual. You pass 2 workers heading back to the nest with their mandibles empty, so they didn't find anything either. Then you spot something ahead. A dead beetle lying on its back with its legs curled inward. It's not fresh, but it's still food, so you move toward it carefully and check the area around it for threats. Nothing else is moving nearby. You need to bring this back to the colony, so you grab one of the beetle's legs with your mandibles and start dragging it backward toward home. Then a shadow passes over you. You freeze in place and stop moving completely. The shadow circles once and gets larger as it comes back around. It lands a few body lengths away with its head tilted to one side, watching you closely. You stay frozen and don't release the beetle. The bird hops one step closer, then another. It lunges forward and its beak stabs down, catching you across the middle of your body and lifting you into the air. The bird adjusts its grip and squeezes tighter, crushing your body between its beak. Something inside you breaks and your legs stop moving. The bird opens its beak and you fall. You hit a rock and don't move again. By tomorrow you'll be dried out completely. Just another piece of food for whatever finds you next. That was the honeypot ant. Next is the slaver ant. You emerge utterly incapable of feeding or caring for yourself, forced to launch brutal, deadly raids on neighboring colonies just to kidnap their unborn pupae, relying entirely on enslaved workers to physically put food into your mouth so you do not starve. You hatch from an egg, underground in a nest of over 500, but only a few are your kind, and the rest are slaves. They don't look like you, they don't share your scent, but they feed you and raise you like you're one of them. Your larval body is soft and weak. You don't move and you don't eat on your own. Then a worker comes. She holds chewed up food in her mandibles, presses her face to yours, and feeds you mouth to mouth. She does it again and again, over a few weeks, and so do the others. They circle constantly, grooming your body, adjusting the walls of your cell, defending the chamber entrance from anything that isn't part of the colony. You grow quickly, your skin stretches, then it splits and you break free. You crawl out of the shell and stand for the first time. You're a fully grown slaver ant. Dozens of Formica workers move around you. One of them walks past, turns slightly, and feeds you again. Even now you wouldn't survive without them, because your species doesn't know any basic things that ants should be able to do, like finding food or raising your young. But you do know how to kill, and soon that's exactly what you're going to do. A few days later, one of the workers returns to the nest. She rushes through the tunnels, brushing past others as she reaches the central chamber. The moment she arrives, everything changes. You notice a certain smell on her, so you follow. Every slaver does. It's not a decision. It's what you were born for. She leads you out of the nest, moving quickly across the forest floor as the others fall into line behind her. Up ahead is a Formica nest. You've never been here before, but it's not unfamiliar. The lead worker slows and releases a trail of pheromones, painting a chemical signal that spreads through the group. The others surge forward, forming a narrow column. You reach the entrance of the Formica nest and you begin digging. The defenders are inside. You know they'll fight, but not yet. First, you widen the entrance, clearing the debris and making space for the rest of the group to pour in. The moment the path is open, the column breaks formation and floods into the nest, and you follow. Your species has raided for so long that your body already knows what to do. You push forward through the narrow corridors, stepping over panicked workers as they scatter away from you. Some try to resist. One launches forward and sprays acid across your side, but it doesn't slow you down. Your shell is thick enough to ignore it. You keep moving. Ahead, a nursery chamber opens into view. The place is filled with larvae and pupae packed into clusters. You lunge forward and grab a pupa between your mandibles. You turn and retreat through the same tunnel you entered from. Others are already ahead of you, carrying stolen brood in all directions. One slaver collapses as she's swarmed by defenders and dragged into the shadows. You don't stop. You make it out and race back toward your colony. By the time you arrive, the entrance is already crawling with returning workers. You drop the pupa into the nest and turn around. Because this isn't over yet, you still have more to take. A few weeks pass, and the stolen pupae begin to hatch. They look like Formica. They move like Formica. But they don't act like Formica, because the first thing they smell is your colony, and so they think that they are a part of your species. As soon as they are able to walk, they clean the chambers. They feed you directly from their mouths. They patrol the tunnels and guard the queen they were stolen to serve. They don't know they were taken, but they follow you anyway. One morning, a small group forms near the tunnel entrance. A slaver worker releases a trail and starts to move. You follow her along with a group of slaves. The trail leads through the forest and straight back to the place you stole them from, the same Formica nest. It's weaker and smaller now, but not empty. The survivors have been trying to rebuild, but you won't allow them to. You reach the entrance and tear it open. Formica workers rush to block you, but this time, they don't just face you, they face their own sisters. The first slave breaks rank. She lunges forward and sinks her mandibles into a defender's throat. Another follows. In seconds, the tunnel becomes a swarm. Bodies collapse around you, limbs folding, legs twisting. The nest is too small to escape and too tight to retreat. You push deeper through the carnage. Then you find her. At the back of the chamber, the Formica queen is trying to flee. She stumbles over a scattered brood, dragging herself toward a narrow side tunnel. But she never makes it. Two slaves reach her first. They climb onto her back, gripping her sides as their mandibles dig into her soft joints. She thrashes as they bite her body open, but the movement stops eventually. You stand beside the body for a moment, then you turn around. The nest is quiet now. There's no one left to fight, so you return home while the slaves follow. A few weeks later, the nursery begins to empty. Larvae go missing. Some are found crushed and half buried beneath the wall plaster. Others vanish before anyone sees them again. You patrol the inner chambers, walking past slaves tending to food stores and repairing damaged surfaces. Then, near the edge of a narrow tunnel, you spot a worker standing alone. Her mandibles are pressed to the wall. But she's not fixing it. She's tearing it apart. She chips once more and loosens a small section of hardened pulp. You strike from behind. Your jaws pierce her abdomen and crush her against the ground. Her legs curl inward, and she doesn't move again. You keep walking. Inside the brood chamber, you spot another. She's hunched above a slaver larva, already biting through its side. The larva twitches weakly. The slave lifts her head and moves to the next one. You rush forward and grab her. She thrashes, legs kicking hard across your chest. You slam her into the chamber floor and split her apart. A sharp click echoes from the tunnel behind you. More movement follows. 3 slaves enter from the side chamber and sprint toward you with jaws open. One leaps. You twist, catch her midair, and throw her against the wall. Another slaver arrives. Then 2 more. They crash into the group, scattering the rebels across the floor. You catch one under her body and drag her backwards. A second one strikes your flank, but is intercepted by another slaver worker. The brood chamber floods with bodies. Acid sprays across your face as one of them lands a hit, but the sting fades quickly. You grab the nearest attacker and pin her to the ground. Then you crush her throat and move to the next. Eventually, the movement slows. Half of the slaves are gone. Their bodies lie broken beneath the nursery wall. You step over what's left of them and return to the tunnel. The rebellion ends where it started. At 1 month old, your colony is smaller. The larvae are hungry, the walls are cracked, and there aren't enough slaves to fix it. So you gather what workers remain and prepare another raid. The scout leads you out early, releasing a weak trail that fades faster than usual. You follow anyway. The forest is quiet, but the scent she's left behind cuts straight through the damp air and leads you toward a nest built deeper into the ground. You don't know the colony, but it smells like formica. You reach the entrance and start to dig. The opening resists, packed tight with soil and debris. You clear it quickly. Then the slavers rush forward and pour inside. But this time, the defenders don't run. They're already waiting in formation. This isn't the formica you're used to. This is Formica rufa, the red wood ant, nearly twice your size and bred for combat. The first impact hits before you even reach the nursery. One of them slams into a worker beside you and crushes her mid-stride. You strike back, but she doesn't flinch. Her mandibles shear through your front leg and keep going. The tunnel narrows, but they keep coming. Another wave presses through. Your column begins to collapse. The slavers break formation, and the retreat begins, but there's no space to turn. Bodies block the exit. You see another worker pulled under by 3 defenders, her shell cracking open as they tear her apart. You force your way through the chaos, pushing past collapsed brood and fallen allies. By the time you reach daylight, most of your column is gone. 3/4 of the raiding force never make it back. As time passes, your colony is getting desperate, so the queen leaves the chamber. She's never done that before. She walks through the tunnels, her antenna twitching. You and a small group of slavers fall in around her, forming a loose escort as she pushes toward the exit. The trail leads to another formica nest, not far. You've raided it before. This time, the queen enters with you. As the fighting starts, she breaks from the group and slips down a side tunnel. The defenders are busy. They don't see her pass. You keep fighting while she disappears into the dark. At the back of the nest, she finds what she came for. The formica queen is still alive, surrounded by brood, flanked by guards. But it doesn't matter. The slaver queen lunges forward and clamps down on her throat. The formica workers scatter. She doesn't stop until the body is still. Then she licks the corpse and smears the queen's scent across her own body. By the time the workers return, she smells right, so they don't question it. They accept her and the nest is hers now. But not every queen uses an escort. Some raid alone. They crawl into a nest and release chemicals so strong they trigger panic. The defenders drop their brood and flee through the tunnels. And while the chaos unfolds, the queen finds the royal chamber and kills the formica queen herself. If there's more than one, she must find them all, because if even one queen survives, the nest rejects her. But if they're all dead, then the scent is hers, and so is the colony. Skip forward a few weeks, and the air in the nest changes. The workers stop working. The tunnels feel different. Something is about to happen. Then they hatch. The males. You see them crawling out of their cells one by one. Their bodies are thinner than yours. Their antennas are longer. Their legs shake slightly as they walk. The workers bring them food once, just enough to keep them moving. Then the males walk toward the surface and leave. They don't come back. Above ground, hundreds of them scatter into the air, searching for queens. Some find them, but most of them don't. Birds catch them mid-flight. Spiders take them from the grass. The rest fall somewhere and never get up again. You watch one of them rise through the entrance. His wings flick once, and then he's gone. He has no scent worth remembering, no purpose but mating. If he finds a queen, he'll grip her from behind, hold steady for a few seconds, and then drop. His job is over. He won't be fed or protected. He dies the same day he's born, and no one in the colony cares. A few days pass. The males are gone. The colony is quiet again. Then, the wall breaks. It happens fast, a crack along the edge of the southern chamber. Then, a second breach near the entrance. You rush forward with the others, but what's coming through isn't Formica, it's another slaver species. It's Formica sanguinea, and this time, they're not here to defend a nest. They're here to take one. Your sisters collapse around you. You grip one of the attackers and drag her into the dirt, slicing open her shell before she can react. But another slams into your side, and another tears your back leg loose. You back away, limping, your vision shaking as the colony folds around you. The queen is already gone. She escaped when the fighting began. You retreat through the old tunnels, dragging yourself toward the far exit. But then, you stop. The path is blocked. A group of your slaves stand in the passage. They don't let you pass. One of them steps forward and bares her mandibles. You pause, then try to push through. But they strike first. One latches onto your side. Another goes for your head. You fight back, twisting, tearing one of them free. But the rest pull you down. Your shell splits, your legs fold. And the last thing you see is the colony collapsing behind you. Not from the outside, but from within. That was the slaver ant. Next is the leafcutter ant. You are born into a massive, claustrophobic underground fungus farm, forced to spend your entire life endlessly marching through dangerous, predator-filled terrain just to carry rotting leaves you don't even eat. You hatch underground, as one of the 3 types of female leafcutter ants. You're a minim, the smallest and the weakest. Nearby, 2 other kinds are already moving through different parts of the colony. You won't meet them yet, but without all 3, nothing here would survive. You're blind at first. You feel your way through the dark tunnels, guided only by smell. Soon, hundreds of sisters join you, each as tiny and fragile as you. Your job is simple but critical. You farm fungus, the colony's only food source. Leafcutter ants don't eat leaves. Instead, your colony chews leaves into pulp and uses them to grow fungus. Minims like you carefully press this pulp into gardens deep underground. Even the wrong type of leaf can poison the garden, so your job is to keep it pure. And even though the fungus feeds the colony, you'll never taste it yourself. Your first challenge comes quickly. Parasitic mites crawl through the tunnels, searching for soft-bodied ants like you. You feel one climbing onto your back, probing for weak points in your exoskeleton. You stop moving and quickly twist your legs, scraping your back against the tunnel wall. The mite loses its grip and falls off. Another minim that's nearby grabs it in her jaws and bites down hard. She quickly moves to the fungus garden, placing the mite's remains far from the vulnerable larva. Within a day, your sight improves and your body hardens, so you join your sisters working tirelessly, cleaning fungus gardens, grooming larvae, removing mold and parasites. Your actions seem small, but every movement keeps the fungus alive, because without fungus, the colony starves. A few weeks later, you're working deep inside the brood chamber, grooming larvae and shifting eggs. Nothing feels unusual until a strange scent cuts through the nest. It's not mold or fungus, so you stop moving, confused. Your antennas search the air until you smell it again. Lower in the pile, you dig gently between the eggs, checking each one for anything weird. A few others notice and join you. You reach the bottom and find them. 5 clumped together eggs, releasing a scent that is slightly off. A parasitic ant must have slipped inside the nest, just long enough to drop her eggs and vanish. If they hatched, they'd blend in at first, then feed on your young, maybe even kill the workers assigned to raise them. One by one, you and your sisters lift the invaders and carry them to the waste shaft. Back in the brood chamber, you check everything again. You scrub the chamber walls with your mandibles. You taste the air, inspect the cluster, check for cracks or inconsistencies. You don't find any more, but the smell lingers, just enough to make you keep checking. Later, back in the fungus garden, you press a new piece of pulp into the bed. 2 workers pass you carrying mold scrap. Another bites a mite in half and drags it away. The cycle hasn't stopped, and neither can you. Yet your role, as crucial as it is, depends on the others beside you. You're not strong enough to cut or carry leaves. But your media worker sisters are, so you hatch again, this time as a media. The moment your legs stop shaking, you're already on the move. Somewhere above, the nest opening leads to the surface. The colony needs leaves, and you're built to go get them. You climb past smaller workers tending eggs and larvae. Near the surface, you pass 2 soldiers standing just outside the tunnel mouth. They don't look at you. Outside, it's bright. Ants move in steady lines along packed scent trails. Some carry green fragments back to the nest. Others, like you, search for new leaves. You follow a stem into a low brush and check the edge of a leaf with your antenna. The fungus only grows on specific types, and this one's usable, so you start cutting. Your jaws shake with each movement as you saw across the central vein. It takes time. When the piece drops, you grip the base and start dragging. Halfway back, the line slows. You freeze as a shadow moves overhead. A phorid fly is tracking the workers. It circles once, then lands nearby. You move slightly using the leaf to cover your body, because one sting from the phorid fly could leave a larva inside you, and you don't really want that to happen. The fly waits for a few seconds, and then it lifts off, so you keep walking. Shortly after, the tunnel entrance appears ahead. Soldiers check for threats, then let you through. You drop the leaf just inside. Minims are already waiting to process it, chewing it to pulp and adding it to the fungus garden. But you don't stay to watch. You turn around and head back out because another leaf waits. The scent trail is already laid, so you follow it without stopping. There's no break between deliveries because the garden always needs more. A few weeks later, while dragging a leaf across muddy ground, your leg catches under a root. You keep moving, but something's wrong. By the time you reach the tunnel, your walk is uneven and your grip weaker. Other workers pass you like nothing happened because the colony doesn't pause for injuries. That night, your route changes. You're taken off the cutting trail. No more trips to the surface. Instead, you're sent down a new tunnel. One that goes past the garden, past the fungus, and toward the colony's waste chamber. The air here is different. It's hot and kinda sour. You join a silent line of workers carrying dark, decaying material toward a drop-off. Stuff like discarded leaves, moldy fungus, and dead larvae. You grip a clump of rot and drag it to the chamber's edge. The walls here are slick with bacteria. A few steps too far and you won't come back. You release the waste and back out slowly, sweeping your antenna for parasites. Behind you, a worker slips, falling partway into the pile. You grab one of her legs and help pull her out. Her body is covered in mold, but she doesn't fight it. You're not alone down here. Reassigned workers rotate in and out, cleaning the path and scraping away spreading growth. You work quietly. You manage the one thing the colony must keep away from everything else: death. You used to carry and cut stuff, but you can't fight, and the colony needs ants that do more than just farm work. So you hatch yet again, this time wider and heavier. You're a major now. You're made to stop what shouldn't pass into the colony. In simple words, a soldier. You stand near the tunnel entrance just below the surface. It's the only way into the nest. If something gets past you, it can reach everything inside. The trail outside is busy. Workers move along the path in both directions. You stand still with your legs spread slightly and jaws half open. You don't join them because that's not your role. From time to time, returning ants approach too fast, so you raise your antennas and taste the air around them. Most are allowed through without contact, but one stops you. A mediae worker drags a leaf toward the entrance. You smell something wrong. The leaf she carries has no trace of the colony's scent. The edges are smooth, and the surface is glossy. You step forward and block the tunnel. She hesitates, tapping the ground in front of you. She tries to pass again, but you raise your head, and this time she drops the leaf. You watch her back away, turning slowly down the slope. Another worker grabs the dropped leaf and starts dragging it toward the waste chamber. The scent was off. It could have poisoned the garden or killed the brood. Minutes later, a small group of ants approaches together. You raise your body slightly and hold position. They slow down immediately. The first one twitches her antenna, then backs up. The others move sideways and follow her lead, forming a detour around your post. They weren't carrying anything, but they knew not to push through. Not when you're watching. The next day, after hours at your post, the ground begins to shake. A new scent hits. It's not a lost worker. It's an attack. And you're not just guarding the entrance anymore. You're the first line of defense. A wave of red bodies appear at the edge, moving too fast to be workers. It's fire ants. So you move forward and open your jaws. The first wave hits hard. 5 invaders break from the trail and sprint toward the entrance. You lunge at the closest one, catching it mid-charge. Your jaws crush its thorax with a single bite, but another slips past you and disappears down the tunnel. Behind you, other majors respond. 2 more soldiers rush up from below, but it's not enough. More fire ants are coming, dozens of them. You can't hold the tunnel alone. You hear screaming behind you. Somewhere deeper, the invader that slipped past you is fighting inside the brood chamber. Larvae can't run. They don't stand a chance. You hesitate. Do you abandon your post to protect the brood, or hold the line and stop the next wave? Before you can even decide, another fire ant charges at you. You clamp down hard, but you're 1 second too late, and the fire ant slips through again. Then the scent changes. Reinforcements have arrived. 6 more majors charge up the tunnel from below. They block the entrance with their jaws raised. Together, you form a wall and don't let anyone else through. The attackers slow down. Some try to flank, while others try to flee, but none of them make it far. One by one, they're dragged down, crushed, and pulled into the waste chamber. By nightfall, the entrance is clear. The air still stinks of blood and alarm pheromones, but the garden is safe. You held the line. You kept the colony alive, but someone had to build it first. A queen, so you hatch as one. Bigger and hungrier than any ant you've ever been. You're not born to dig, cut, or guard. You're born to leave. Dozens of other queens crawl out beside you, all nearly identical. Your wings press tight to your back and the air around you is thick with a signal. Time to fly. In nearby chambers, males are climbing upward. They'll survive just long enough to find a queen, mate, and fall to their deaths. But back to you. You move fast, pushing through the tunnels toward the light, then climb out, spread your wings, and launch into the air. The sky swarms with movement. Thousands of queens and males fill the air, mixing pheromones and chasing wind currents. You fly higher, looking for space when a male catches you mid-flight. His body presses against yours, and in seconds, it's done. He falls, but you keep going. Another one finds you, then another. But you don't resist. You store their liquid inside you. A while later, storm clouds build in the distance. The air is changing. So you descend fast, searching for damp soil. You land and start digging with your legs, kicking soil backward. Then once you're deep enough, you seal the tunnel behind you. In the dark, you spit out a tiny scrap of fungus you've carried in your jaws since takeoff. It's still alive. You lay your first eggs and press them near the garden. For weeks, you feed off your own wing muscles to survive. If the fungus dies or the eggs don't hatch, it's over. But they don't. Your first daughters emerge soon after. Minims. They clean you, they feed the fungus, and most importantly, they expand the chamber. You'll never leave this nest again, but it will grow around you, built by your offspring, layer by layer, for the rest of your life. But colonies don't last forever, and not every threat comes from the outside. Skip forward around 10 to 15 years, and you're still the queen, but something in the colony has shifted, and not in a way your daughters can fix. It starts small. Fewer workers return from foraging. Then the waste chamber fills faster than it's cleaned. The fungus grows unevenly, and some chambers go silent. Your body is still fertile, still producing eggs, but the colony around you is thinning. Too many ants working and not enough are replacing them, so the balance tips. Leaf fragments come in slower, grooming falls behind, and the garden changes color. You release another batch of eggs and wait for the minims to collect them. Somewhere near the surface, the entrance collapses. Maybe from rain, maybe from something different. It doesn't matter. The trail disappears, and foragers wander off course or never return. Deep below, mold begins to spread. A spore colony blooms across the side of the fungus bed. A few mediae try to scrape it away, but they're slow and the rot wins. Larvae are left unattended. Old waste mixes with food scraps. Parasites like mites and beetles return. You can't see them from here, but you feel the shift. The scent map is broken. You keep laying eggs, because that's all you can do. At some point, the tunnel outside your chamber goes quiet. You've seen thousands of your daughters hatch, grow, and die, and now there are no more footsteps. The fungus lies half dead. Your eggs stay unturned. You've never left this chamber, and you never will. But the colony ends here, with you in the dark, surrounded by soil and silence. That was the leafcutter ant. Finally, meet the bullet ant, where you emerge into a fiercely territorial colony, destined to spend your entire life violently defending your tree with a sting so agonizingly painful it literally feels like being shot. You hatch from an egg as a larva, somewhere in the Amazon rainforest. Your body is soft and pale, curled inside a chamber carved deep in the colony. Worker ants move around you in the dark, their antennae brushing against your skin as they check on you. One of them leans over your head and releases a drop of liquid from her mouth. You don't have legs yet, so you can't move toward it, but your mouth opens and you swallow what she gives you. It's thick and warm, made from chewed insects and nectar that she stored inside her body. Another larva sits beside you, already bigger than you are. A worker approaches with more food, but she feeds the other larva first. It stretches toward her and takes 2 full drops before she turns to you. You only get 1. Then she moves on to check the others in the chamber, leaving you pressed against the wall. Hours pass and more workers come in to feed the larvae. But then something breaks through the soil above your chamber. It's a beetle, small but fast, with sharp mandibles that cut through the packed dirt. Workers rush toward it, climbing over each other to block its path. The beetle bites into the larva next to you before 3 workers clamp onto its legs and drag it backward. The injured larva stops moving, its body going limp against the floor. 2 workers grab it by the head and pull it out of the chamber, disappearing into the tunnel with it. The beetle is still thrashing in the corner, but more workers pile onto it until it stops. Then they seal the crack it came through with fresh soil and saliva, packing it tight until no light gets in. You curl tighter into the wall as the workers return to their patrols. Over the next few days, they feed you constantly, and your body swells until your skin feels too tight. Soon, something has to give. You're 3 weeks old now, and your body has outgrown your skin. The pressure builds until a split runs down your back, and you push yourself free from the old larval shell. But you don't stop there. Your body starts changing inside a thin cocoon that forms around you, sealing you in, while workers continue moving past your chamber. Inside, your legs grow from nothing, 6 of them folding against your sides. Your mandibles harden into sharp cutting tools, and at the end of your abdomen, a stinger develops with venom sacs attached to it. Then the cocoon weakens and you tear through it with your new mandibles. You pull yourself out into the chamber as a fully formed worker ant, but your exoskeleton is still pale and soft. A worker moves toward you and taps your head with her antenna, so you follow her deeper into the nest. Your legs don't work the way you expect them to, and you stumble twice before reaching a tunnel that slopes downward. She leads you through it until you reach a smaller chamber packed with white eggs. The worker touches one of the eggs with her antenna, then moves aside. You need to care for these eggs now, so you lean down and begin cleaning the surface with your mandibles, brushing away any debris that's stuck to it. Other workers come in and out of the chamber, each one checking different eggs before leaving again. You move to another egg and repeat the process, mandibles working carefully over its smooth surface. Over the next few days, your exoskeleton darkens to black and your movements become steadier. You carry eggs to different chambers when workers signal you to, and you help feed the larvae that hatch from them. But eventually, the workers will take you to the surface. And that's where the real danger starts. Skip forward a bit, and you're 6 weeks old, standing at the nest entrance with an older worker beside you. She moves forward into the tunnel that slopes upward, so you follow her with your antennae sweeping the walls for guidance. The tunnel gets brighter as you climb, and then you step out onto the forest floor for the first time. Everything is bigger than you expected, with roots and leaves scattered across the ground in every direction. The older worker walks toward a thick tree trunk covered in moss, and you stay close behind her with your legs moving faster to keep up. She climbs onto the bark, and you do the same, gripping the surface with your claws as you follow her up toward the branches. Halfway up the trunk, she stops beside a cluster of small insects with round bodies. They're aphids, lined up along a branch and feeding on the tree's sap. The worker moves her antennae over one of them, and it releases a drop of clear liquid from its rear. She takes the liquid into her mouth, so you move to another aphid and tap it with your antennae the same way she did. It produces a drop for you too, and you collect it with your mandibles. It's sweet and fills your crop quickly, but then something drops onto the bark beside you. It's a spider with long legs and 2 large eyes facing forward, and it's already moving toward the older worker. She turns and bites into one of its legs, making it pull back and try to circle around her. You stay still while they fight, mandibles ready, but body pressed against the bark. The spider lunges again, but the worker catches it by another leg and holds it in place until it stops struggling. Then she releases it, and the spider retreats down the trunk, disappearing into a crack in the bark. The worker taps your head with her antennae and leads you back down to the nest entrance. You both go inside and move through the tunnels until you reach the main chamber, where you pass the liquid from your crop to other workers waiting there. The surface is full of food, but it's also full of things that want to eat you, and soon you'll be going up there alone. You're 3 months old now, moving along a branch with 5 other workers beside you. Your antennae sweep across the bark looking for movement, and then one of the workers ahead stops and signals with her body. You move closer and see what she found. A caterpillar clinging to a leaf and chewing through the edge with its mouth. The group spreads out across the branch, surrounding it from different angles so it can't escape in any direction. You need to help bring it down, so you move toward its side while the others get into position. The caterpillar keeps eating and doesn't react to you yet, but when you get close enough, you bite into its soft body with your mandibles and lock down. It thrashes instantly, body whipping back and forth and nearly throwing you off the leaf. Your legs grip tighter to stay attached while another worker climbs onto its head from above. She curls her abdomen forward and drives her stinger into the base of its skull. And the caterpillar's movements start to slow. It tries to thrash again, but the venom is already working, making its body go stiff before it finally stops moving completely. The rest of the group moves in and begins tearing pieces from its body with their mandibles. You bite into a section near the middle and pull until a chunk separates. Then you carry it back down the branch toward the nest entrance. Other workers follow behind you with their own pieces, forming a line that stretches from the kill site all the way down the trunk. When you reach the nest, you bring your piece inside and pass it to workers waiting in the main chamber. They'll break it down further and feed it to the larvae. You've hunted smaller insects before, but this is the first time you've taken down something this big with a group. Your stinger is fully developed now and loaded with venom, and soon you'll need to use it on something that fights back harder than a caterpillar. You're 6 months old now, walking along the forest floor near the nest entrance when you detect something wrong. There's a foreign scent in the air that doesn't belong to your colony, so you rush back toward the opening and release a chemical signal from your body. Within seconds, other workers start pouring out of the nest with their mandibles open and antennas searching for the threat. Then you see them, a group of ants from a rival colony moving across the ground toward your entrance. They're the same species as you, but they belong to a different queen, which makes them enemies. The first invader you reach is larger than you are, and she moves forward with her mandibles spread wide. You need to stop her before she gets any closer, so you grab one of her legs with your mandibles while she tries to bite your head. But you twist your body to the side and curl your abdomen forward, driving your stinger into the joint between her head and thorax. The venom works fast, making her release your leg immediately and stumble backward with her movements turning jerky and uncoordinated. She tries to steady herself, but her legs give out and she collapses onto her side with her body still twitching. You step over her and move forward to where more workers from both colonies are fighting across the ground. Mandibles lock together, while stingers curl and strike at any exposed joint they can reach. Another invader rushes toward you from the left, so you turn to face her and raise your abdomen in warning. She lunges anyway and grabs your antenna with her mandibles, pulling hard enough to tear part of it off. The damaged antenna stops working properly, but you drive your stinger into her side before she can bite again, and she releases you to deal with the venom spreading through her body. The battle continues for several more minutes until the invaders start retreating back toward their own territory. Your colony has lost a few workers, but the rival colony lost more, so they give up and disappear into the leaf litter. You return to the nest entrance with your torn antenna and damaged leg. The venom in your stinger causes more pain than any other insect can deliver, and now you know exactly how to use it when something threatens your colony. Skip forward a bit and you're 10 months old, climbing alone up a thick vine that wraps around a tree trunk. You need to find nectar to bring back to the colony, so you follow the vine higher into the branches where white flowers cluster together near the top. When you reach them, you bite into the base of one flower with your mandibles and begin feeding on the sweet liquid inside. Then something moves above you on the stem, and you stop feeding to look up. There's a praying mantis perched on the vine with its body pressed flat against the green surface, and it's watching you with its head tilted to the side. You need to decide if it's a threat, so you stay still for a moment while your antennae sweep toward it. The mantis doesn't react and just keeps staring, so you turn back to the flower and continue feeding with your mandibles working at the base. But then, the mantis strikes without any warning, both of its front legs shooting forward and clamping around your thorax. The grip is too strong to break free from. So you curl your abdomen forward as fast as you can and drive your stinger into the joint where its leg meets its body. The mantis holds on, but you sting again in the same spot, and then a third time until its leg starts spasming. That's when it finally releases you and pulls back, but you're already losing your grip on the vine. You fall through the leaves and branches below, your legs trying to grab onto something but missing everything. Then you hit the forest floor hard with your body slamming into the dirt and leaf litter. Your legs are still working and you can move, but one of your antennae is crushed and bent at an angle that makes it useless for detecting chemicals. You need to get back to the nest, so you start walking across the ground while following the chemical trails left by other workers. The path is clear enough even with one antenna, and after a while you reach the entrance and go back inside. You survived but barely made it back. The higher you climb looking for food, the more predators are waiting up there to catch you. You're 1 year old now, walking through the tunnels when you notice workers moving faster than usual. They're all heading toward the upper chambers where hundreds of winged ants are gathering together, and you need to see what's happening. So you follow them up and watch as these larger ants prepare to leave the nest. They're elates, the reproductive members of the colony with wings attached to their bodies, and today they're going to fly out and start new colonies somewhere else in the forest. You stay near the entrance as a guard, while the first wave of elates pushes through the opening and lifts into the air above the nest. More follow behind them until there are dozens flying in circles above the trees. And then they start spreading out in different directions. But something drops through the group from above, and you see a bird snap its beak around 3 of the winged ants in a single pass. The rest keep flying, while the bird turns and dives through them again. Then a mated queen lands on the ground near you. Her wings already torn off and lying beside her in the dirt. She needs to start digging immediately to create a new nest before something finds her, so she begins scraping at the soil with her legs and mandibles. But then a lizard appears from behind a fallen log with its tongue already extending toward her. The tongue wraps around her body and pulls her back into its mouth before she can dig more than a shallow depression in the ground. The lizard swallows and walks away while more elates continue landing and taking off around the area. You return to your position at the entrance and watch as the swarm gets smaller above you. Most of them will die before they can start a new colony, but a few will survive and produce workers just like you. You'll never reproduce yourself because you're a worker, but the colony will keep growing and producing more elates every year. And you'll defend it until something finally stops you. You're 1.5 years old now, which is older than most workers in the colony ever get to be. You're out foraging alone along a trail you've walked hundreds of times before, following the chemical markers left by other workers who passed through earlier. The path runs along the forest floor between fallen leaves and exposed roots, and you're searching for anything worth bringing back to the nest. Then the ground moves beneath your legs, and you stop walking to check what's happening. But before you can react, another ant breaks through the soil directly in front of you with her mandibles already spread open. She's a trapjaw ant, and her jaws are built to snap shut faster than you can move. You try to back away, but she's already too close, and her mandibles close around your waist with enough force to cut straight through your exoskeleton. The impact separates your body into 2 pieces, front and rear, and both halves fall in different directions. Your rear segment lands in the dirt with your stinger still flexing and trying to strike at something that isn't there anymore. Your front half hits the ground with your legs grasping at the air, but nothing connects and your mandibles open and close without finding anything to grab onto. You can still see the forest floor in front of you and the trapjaw ant moving closer, but your legs stop working and your antennae go still. Then she grabs your front segment with her mandibles and starts pulling it backward toward the hole she came from. She drags you underground while your vision fades, and the last thing you see is the tunnel walls closing in around you. Above ground, workers from your colony continue walking along the same trail, following their chemical markers and searching for food. The forest keeps moving around your pieces, and within hours, other insects will find what's left and carry it away to feed their own colonies.